Thank you all. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, I thought you were introducing me with the Uncle Sam image before, coming to the United States. Anyway, what I want to do is very briefly share with you some of the work we're doing. The work we're doing is related to smart cities. Incidentally, we do it both at Sensible City Lab and also in our design office when it becomes something built. This kind of convergence of digital and physical. If you want, many people today talk about smart cities. We don't like the name very much. But what is behind smart cities, something quite simple, is internet becoming Internet of Things. And hence, allowing us to design many new different systems in our cities. So when you think about anything from Uber to Airbnb to Nest and many other things, all those things are the result of Internet of Things entering physical space. It's almost like a new wave of the internet. The first one a few decades ago was about everything being virtual and digitized. And this is about digital and physical being together. Internet of Things, entering our cities. Before it was mentioned, Industry 4.0, like Germans say, I have this big initiative on 4.0, but that is really Internet of Things entering production. And if you think of Internet of Things entering cities, is about what people say smart cities. That is what we look at. And what I was asked today was to really look at, give some examples of how some of the work we've been doing both at the lab and in our design office then became startups and other innovation initiatives. Now, I just want to say before that something interesting, that all of this is creating the ability to sense a lot of data from the city and to respond to that. So that's, all of these projects will look at these dimensions in different ways, feedback loops between the space we live in and ourselves. First project is something called HubCub. And we started looking at a city like this. That was a visualization by Pedro Cruz, who is a researcher in our lab at MIT. This was at MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And if you look at this, we couldn't see a city like this a few decades ago, or just 5 or 10 years ago. That's a Lisbon map using billions of data points collected from the taxis in the city. Then we take all the taxis. You can look in more detail about when people get on a taxi and get off a taxi. What you see here is the same data in New York. Every dot is somebody who gets in the taxi, a pickup or a drop-off, a yellow or a blue dot. Now what you see here is JFK Airport. If you zoom out, you see the airport was down there. You see Manhattan and all of the boroughs. And then you can ask yourself, what if people were ready to share mobility more? And between 2 points in Manhattan, you got hundreds of thousands of trips connecting those 2 points in the course of the year. So we asked ourselves that question mathematically. What if people were ready to share, and if you want to minimize the inconvenience to people, so you want to take people to destination when they need to be there, give or take a couple of minutes, what is the minimum number of cars that you need? Now, when you look at that, you need to develop new mathematics to look at this, because there's simply too much data. So this is a paper that we did recently in PNAS, developing this kind of network science approach to solve that question. Here you see these kind of shareability networks that grow denser if you tolerate a longer delay. But the key thing is that the result is that in New York, if people were ready to share, you will be able to take everybody to destination when they need to be there, give or take a couple of minutes, with 40% less vehicles than what you have to do. Well, that was a piece of big data research that we did. The paper is quite recent, but the first results came out a little over 3 years ago. They came to the attention of Uber, and as you might know, well, since then we started a collaboration with Uber, and as you might know, Uber Pool does exactly that, allows people to share a trip. So it was one example of how, we started from big data in the city, we analyze it, we get some research output out of this, but also some of the results help to inform some of the applications in the city. In this case, through a collaboration with Uber. In this case, this was it was interesting that as we got the first results, the New York Times did a long article and said, this is very interesting in terms of research, but New Yorkers will never share a taxi with anybody else on the planet. And actually then, what happened is that when you look at the results from Uber, you see that in San Francisco, 50% of the trips are actually done, more than 50% are done today by Uber Pool, people sharing a trip, and that is growing more and more all over the world in over 30 cities, where people can actually share mobility. And every trip that you share means one less car on the road, which means less emissions, less pollution, and less congestion in our cities. So one quick example about, starting from the city, analyzing data, and so on. The second thing I want to share with you is something I started a few years ago. It's actually back in 2009, so now 6 or 7 years ago, when we developed a prototype with for the world for the UN Climate Summit in Copenhagen, with the mayor of Copenhagen, and this was the idea. Can you do like take your bike, keep your bike, just change the wheel, and you turn every bike into an e-bike. So we developed that. That was presented at the summit. It was tested with a bunch of prototypes. Then that was silent for a few years. It was just a something like a project at the lab. We did some developments, but we didn't really do a startup. Like 3 years ago, we decided then to raise VC funds, and that became a company 3 years ago. It's called Super Pedestrian. The company has raised around $30 million in order to turn that idea into a product. That's last year it was named by Time Magazine, listed in the best inventions of the year. We're kind of over 1 year late in delivering, but actually a few months ago deliveries started with all the people who pre-order. Tesla has been like 2 years late in that. So but basically that was the resources in order to build, to go from an idea to a product, in order to build a supply chain, to build a production line in Cambridge, in Massachusetts, and to start shipping all over the world. I showed a video of what became that initial thing that was like an academic project, and the prototype presented back in 2009 in Copenhagen, how that became the product, which is what you see in the little video.
This is the Copenhagen wheel. It turns your ordinary bicycle into a smart electric hybrid by simply replacing your back wheel. Connect it to your smartphone, download the app, and you're ready to go. Bicycles are a great way to move around, yet sometimes distances are too long, hills can get in the way, and hard journeys to work may leave you covered in sweat. The Copenhagen wheel is here to change all of that. The technology was developed over several years at MIT, together with the city of Copenhagen, one of the world's most innovative places for cycling. Its original inventors licensed the technology and founded Super Pedestrian, the startup where we are now working around the clock to bring the wheel to you. Like the best riding companion, the Copenhagen wheel learns how you pedal and integrates seamlessly with your motion. It captures your energy when you brake or go downhill, and gives you a push when you need it, with 3 to 10 times your regular foot power. It's easy, ride it just like a normal bike. As you pedal, the motor automatically kicks in, with no additional throttles or buttons. All technology for the Copenhagen wheel is contained within the red casing, including motor, removable batteries, wireless connectivity, smart locking, multiple sensors, and an embedded control system. Use your smartphone to customize your ride, monitor your physical activity, gather information from your environment to share with your friends and fellow cyclists. And if you're a software developer, you can even create your own biking apps. So whether you carry yourself, your kids, or your gear, hills seem flat, distances shrink, and you can cycle just about anywhere. So transform your bike and transform the city. The Copenhagen wheel.